and welcome to this monthly service of remembrance here at John Knox Village. I'm Reverend Jamie Champion, and on behalf of the Spiritual Life Department, I want to thank you for joining us in this time we have set aside to remember those who we have lost. They are husbands, wives, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and dear, dear friends. I do need to take a moment and thank some people who, without their help, this service would not be possible. I would like to thank the ladies in resident relations, Sonia Reynolds and Joanna Avis. I would also like to thank our organist, Mr. Mark Henschel, and our production team. The time that we spend here today is about remembering those that we have lost. It is about knowing that while we may not see them or be able to touch them, their presence can still be felt in our hearts, and memories of them will remain with us. I would like to share a poem with you. It was written by Henry Van Dyke and is titled, Gone from My Sight. I am standing upon the seashore, a ship at my side, spreads her white sails to the moving breeze and starts for the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength. I stand and watch her until, at length, she hangs like a speck of white cloud just where the sea and sky come to mingle with each other. Then someone at my side says, there, she is gone. Gone where? Gone from my sight. That is all. She is just as large in mast, hull and spar as she was when she left my side. And she is just as able to bear her load of living freight to her destined port. Her diminished size is in me, not in her. And just at that moment when someone says, there, she is gone, there are other eyes watching her coming and other voices ready to take up the glad shout, here she comes. This poem is a reminder that in our lives, we are all on a journey and are constantly moving from one stage of our lives to the next. They say that people come in and out of our lives, and the time that we have with them is not only special, but leaves a lasting impression. They leave on us is what we can hold on to in order to support us in our grief and in our healing. By request of some of the family members, I would also like to read from the Old Testament. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I would like to share with you the stories of those who we are here to remember. Paul Fasano. Paul Fasano was born July 20th, 1933, in Bingham Canyon, Utah, to Orest and Mara Fasano. Paul previously lived in New York, and in Fort Lauderdale for 17 years before joining the John Knox family February 14th of 2018. He was a graduate of LS University of California and Berkeley in 1961 and was a librarian with the New York Public Library before retiring in 1995, and he was an archivist as well as a philanthropist. He was a volunteer with the Stonewall National Museum and Archives in Fort Lauderdale and enjoyed cooking and reading. Paul was a major supporter of the Sunshine Cathedral. His husband, Dr. Bob Graham, was a pioneering member of the Sunshine Cathedral Foundation's Board of Governors, and when Dr. Graham died, Paul filled his seat on the board and served faithfully for the rest of his life. Paul was a leader and contributor to the Sunshine Cathedral Memorial Chapel and Columbarium, and also a patron of the building which bears his name, the Graham Fasano Center. Most importantly, Paul Fasano was a good person with a loving heart, and he will be missed. Let light perpetual shine upon him. Paul Fasano left us on February 12th, 2021. Paul Fasano, Rest in peace. Margaret B. Green. Margaret is joining her husband in heaven, Hal Green Sr., who passed in 1995. She is survived by her son, Yorick, and his wife, Crystal M. Green. Margaret was the kindest woman. She made us feel that we were part of her family when the time we met. She was like that to everyone. Born at home in Goodlettville, Tennessee, she is the daughter of the late James Perry Beckett and Uta Reynolds Beckett. Margaret, or Meg as she was called by her surviving brother, Bob, she joins in heaven sisters Nell Mae Beckett, Cranford, Woodard, and Martha Brunette Beckett Wright. Brothers James Litton Beckett, Howard Reynolds Beckett, Frank Simpson Beckett, and William Thomas Beckett. She was also a cherished aunt to numerous nieces and nephews. Margaret graduated from Tyler High School in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and attended Tennessee Wesleyan University in Athens, Tennessee. She played basketball and was team captain in both high school and college. Her first job was as a youth director and then secretary and treasury at her church in Cleveland, Tennessee. It was during that time she met her husband, Hal, who was a church organist. They would quickly discover their love for each other and their shared birth date of August 8th. They were married on March 16th of 1951. After the birth of their son, they relocated to South Florida in 1958, where she began work in the office at Pompano Beach High School. Inspired to go back to college, she graduated from Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton in 1969. In 1970, she was part of the team that opened Deerfield Beach High School and taught there for 31 years before retiring in 2003. Having spent many summers chaperoning high school students through foreign countries for 6 weeks at a time, she continued to constantly travel throughout her life and often remarked that she could not believe how fortunate this country girl was to have been exposed to so much history, art, and culture. She was an avid sports fan, enjoying basketball, football, baseball, tennis, and Olympic sports competitions. Margaret was also active at Christ United Methodist Church and enjoyed singing in the church's choir. Due to the amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, more commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease, she passed away on March 24th, 2021. Margaret B. Green, rest in peace. Murray Hunter. Murray had a very active and full life that spanned many years, beginning with his birth in Toronto to his parents Ernest and Gladys Hunter on February 26, 1925. He was educated at Upper Canada College in high school and the University of Toronto, where he graduated with a degree in chemical engineering. During his university years, he also served in the Canadian Navy at the end of the Second World War. Shortly after graduation, he moved to Montreal in 1948 and worked with the Molson Brewing Company to train as a brewmaster. However, after a short apprenticeship, moved back to his roots in Toronto, where he spent the next 32 years in commercial real estate. During this time, in addition to building up his real estate practice in Toronto, he did extensive traveling in Europe, selling real estate in Canada to prospective European investors. In his leisure time, he enjoyed playing golf and tennis and spending time with his family in Toronto and at their cottage in Ontario. He was an avid hunter and skeet shooter during this time and won a world championship in the pairs competition in his class in 1965. His children during this time have many fond memories of going for walks, water skiing, playing golf, and playing board games and bridge at the cottage with Dad and their grandparents. In 1971, Murray moved his young family from Toronto to sunny Fort Lauderdale, where he spent the next 40 years of his life, still active in real estate and developing a real passion for tennis. His children have many fond memories of growing up with him at Sea Ranch Lakes in Lauderdale by the Sea. In his later years, he moved to the community of John Knox Village, where he was well known and will be remembered by the many friends he made over the 20 years he lived in this community, taking an active role in the men's choir and in helping the residents in need. He is survived by his 7 children, Murray, Christine, John, Carol, Tanya, Eric, and Natasha. Murray Hunter left us peacefully on April 17th, 2021, at the age of 96. Murray Hunter, rest in peace. Frank H. Yeager. Frank Yeager was at the age of 93, passed away on Sunday, April 4th, 2021. He will be dearly missed by his family and friends. He was born and raised in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Over the span of his career, he was employed as a teacher, metallurgist, chemist, and manager of the Research Metallurgical Division of the Howmet Corporation in Dover, New Jersey, for over 15 years. Upon moving to Arlington, he worked in the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. for the Defense Intelligence Agency until he retired in 1995. He was a devoted father and husband who enjoyed painting, reading, playing cards, and traveling abroad. He also enjoyed his time as a volunteer at the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History, cataloging artifacts. Frank is survived by his wife of 35 years, Marie, his 4 daughters, and 2 stepsons. Karen Fisher and her husband, Robert, of Waretown, New Jersey. Kathleen and her husband, Gary, of Manchester, New Jersey. Pamela and her husband, Gary, of Randolph, New Jersey. Donna Falk of Georgetown, Delaware. Stephen Heineman and Monique Brechter of North Palm Beach. And Gary Heineman and his wife, Carol, of Palisades, New York. He is also the proud grandfather of 15 grandchildren and 13 great-grandchildren. He was predeceased by his daughter, Deborah Cahill, his mother, Elizabeth, and stepfather, Joseph Kenner. Frank H. Yeager, rest in peace. Merle Minnie Mckinney. Merle was the youngest of 4 surviving children of Pearl Gertrude McClure Smith and Needham White Smith. Merle grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, where she attended Andrew Jackson High School, met and married James Guilford Ray. Together they had 3 children, Gil, Peggy, and Lisa. Merle was ahead of her time by starting and managing a successful welcome wagon business for many years. Merle was a strong and faithful believer and was a very involved member of the First United Methodist Church of Jacksonville. She also lovingly served and cared for several of her extended family members. As a widow, Merle married Charles Benjamin Mckinney and eventually moved to Fort Lauderdale and Pompano Beach, where they became an involved member of Christ Methodist Church. Merle and Ben enjoyed playing tennis and loved to travel. Merle became a travel agent at age 60 and continued to the age of 80. She organized and led over 40 overseas and U.S. excursions. Her clients loved her, were repeat customers, and looked forward to all the trips she planned. Merle was very generous and looked out for all. Merle and Ben moved into a villa at John Knox Village she had redesigned and decorated on December 6th of 1990. They enjoyed the lake, wildlife, chapel, Saturday donuts, spring fling, going out to theater productions, music, and friends. On April 5th, 2012, Merle transitioned to the health center and later Seaside Cove. She was acknowledged by John Knox Village for her many volunteer hours and projects at John Knox Village, including the decoration of a family activity room in the health center. She and Ben loved to participate in spring fling and always came up with original costumes and ideas. She is survived by her 3 loving children, 5 grandchildren, and 13 great-grandchildren. Merle loved each one of them and loved to share pictures of her family. Our family will remember Merle, a true believer who lived her faith and is now welcomed in her forever home. Minnie Merle Mckinney left us on April 6th, 2021. Minnie McKinney, rest in peace. At this time, our organist, Mark Henschel, will now offer our solo for your time of reflection. Our hope is that during this time, you are able to remember what this individual meant to you and meant to all of our lives. Our final reading is Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. Those that we love are precious. They are the gold in our lives, and while they may stay with us only for a limited time, they are treasures for us to behold. That is why we remember them. We talk about them. We share their stories and let others know how much value they had in our lives. This is now our time where we have a final preparation for departure. As the name is mentioned and the sound of the bell is heard, may your heart receive comfort and your mind receive peace. Paul Fasana. Margaret B. Green. Frank H. Jagger. Murray Hunter. Merle Minnie Mckinney. While we come to a close in our time together today, I'd like to leave you with this quote from Leo Tolstoy. He once said, "Only people who are capable of loving strongly can also suffer great sorrow. But this same necessity of loving serves to counteract their grief and heals them. May your love be greater than your sorrow. May your healing be swift." At this time, our organist will play a postlude. Please remain seated and take this opportunity to bask in the love and friendship that you all shared and feel its healing powers. thank you for joining us today and sharing in the time that we have set aside to remember those that we have lost and those that we have loved. Please depart in peace. Shalom to all.